back to Broadjucation. I am your host, Megs, and this episode's going to go a little differently. As you can very clearly hear, I am sick right now, and there's my dog barking already. We're in for another wild ride episode, I guess. We really started this season strong. No, I'm just kidding. I swear to God, my interview episodes, guest episodes go so well, and then I feel like I'm back in like pre-season 1 when I do my solos, but such is life. We're keeping it realistic. Yeah, I'm a real person. This is the extra. This is the behind the scenes, I guess. But I figured since I'm sick and I don't really feel up to a hefty episode, like the one that I had already had planned. I don't know why, but I did so much prep with my guest interviews. Most of them are done. All of them are recorded, or almost all of them are recorded, and some of them are edited even, which I guess I could have posted that today, but I wanted to keep it real, and I thought this was kind of a good opportunity to talk about being sick in the industry. And how difficult it can be. And I know it's a conversation I have a lot on socials, and I just felt like it kind of needed a place on the pod. I think it's maybe something that even I can go back and listen to next time I'm sick and make myself feel better, because it's fucking rough when you're sick. And we're not even just talking about the financial loss, we're just talking about every little piece. And that's what I wanted to talk about today, was just all of the things and all of the elements that go into and kind of snowball when you're sick. So as I was, oh my God, and I get a text. This is normally on Do Not Disturb, but I, again, am apologizing because my brain is not at 100%. I don't even think it's I don't even think we're at 80 at this point. We're somewhere much lower. But this is something that I've built. I've had so many messages this season, and I want to thank you right now, here and now, because it just literally means the world to me. I put my heart and soul in this podcast because I really enjoy doing it, and I think it's such a fun element that was missing from the industry, like something's hyper niched. And I don't know, it's just been so much fun. And I even had a message the other day saying thank you for building this community, and I never even thought of it in that way, because I felt like I was kind of just trying to join the community in a way, and I just never thought about building my own here. Thank you, Broad Baddies. I am just so thankful and grateful for you. I appreciate that. That's what's bringing me here today while I'm sick, because I just feel like I want to use every opportunity that arises to either educate, help in some way, give advice, or some I don't know, almost 10-year into the industry wisdom. I think one of the things that I struggle with even still to this day is when I'm sick and what to do and how to approach it. What happens when you're sick? Obviously, shit hits the fan pretty quickly. I know I fight the shit out of it. I'm not a doctor person, so I hate the doctor. I am somebody who has really bad allergies. What happens is every fall in my town, we do harvest season. I'm in an ag town, so oh my God, popping my knuckles even. God, I'm so sorry. I'm anxious for some reason. So I'm in an ag town, so we harvest at this time of year, and it kills me. And sometimes it also gets me sick. There's also something just going around, so maybe I'm just a little more sensitive because of that, and then got it, but it's nasty. It started with a really gross horse cough. I don't know why I'm getting into this. Anyways, I'm sick. So it started with a cough, but I still had my energy. How I approached it, I guess I'm breaking it down because I just kind of want to break down this specific instance as an example of how I approached it. So I only had the cough, and I felt okay. It hurt, my throat hurt, but I still had energy. And that's always my biggest thing, is I can be uncomfortable and work okay, without distraction or anything, but when I hit the fatigue, I have a very difficult time pushing through that. So when I still have the stamina, I try to keep going. Now, I do not want to get anybody sick. I mask up the second I'm not feeling well. the second I have any inkling of anything. Now, one thing that was a little bit tricky and made it difficult at the start of this was because my dogs had fleas recently. Yay. I was spraying my house with an aerosol to kill those. And for part of it, I didn't mask up, which was so stupid of me. And so when I got the cough, I kind of thought it was that. And I was like, oh, I just like inhaled some of it or something. And like, I just have a sore throat from that. Alas, a week later now, or over a week later now, that was not it. It was the start of a really nasty cold. Thankfully, I obviously live with my husband. He is completely fine. He hasn't shown any symptoms whatsoever. I don't feel like it's something that's hyper contagious because he would have gotten it within a couple days. How I approached work was just wearing a mask. And when I was feeling sick was like my first day back, and I worked 4 days in the studio. I worked the first 2 days pretty much exactly the same as my normal schedule, and the third day I was really starting to feel icky. I rescheduled half of my day and like the end of my day and went in for the morning when I was already up, and I don't like canceling on people like hours before or like an hour before or something. So I just canceled my afternoon. I was like, I'm so sorry. Let me get you in next week. And previously I would try to get them in like the following day or something, but I really learned my lesson that it's just jumping the gun, and I just automatically move anybody when I'm feeling sick to the next week. I give some time. So then I was like, I got this. I have an afternoon off. I can still make my Saturday. And I was gung ho about it. My Saturdays are only 4 hours. So they're not like the longest, but this one was kind of tedious. And I woke up to a cancellation, and I was like, it kind of sent me. And I also woke up with a migraine. I was like, the second I get a migraine at any point in time, I know for a fact I can't go in. So why is that? Is because I can't handle light sensitivity and my eyes bother me. I don't feel comfortable or confident in my craft when those two things are happening. There's just no fucking way I'm going in, because I feel like it's a huge injustice to my clientele, because I wouldn't trust me. At that stage, why would I go in and perform a service on somebody? That's just not good practice. I woke up, and even though it was only a couple hours before, I still was like, I can't do this. I know for a fact I can't do it. I'm just going to cancel. So I canceled my whole Saturday, and that sucks. That's one of the things that I feel like is super difficult and super hard. I woke up pretty early because when I'm sick and stuff, like I just kind of get this. If I get woken up, like I have a horrible time trying to go back to sleep. I already have a difficult time falling asleep. So when I'm sick and like anything's bothering me, it's even harder. What I did was I have texts in my notes app that I have saved. They're kind of like templates. I think this is a huge benefit, and I've done this for years, and I think it's nice to just get it out, and then also it makes things easier, right? We don't feel good. Like I don't want to sit and craft a whole entire text to each individual client. And for us brow artists, it can be a lot of clients, right? Crafting that template in text, I can make it as specific or as generic as I want. And of course, I just kind of left it out. Normally, I'm like, hi, so and so, because I like to like specifically talk to them. But when I'm sick and not feeling well, sometimes I'll like accidentally send a text or something, and I didn't want to send it to the wrong name. So I just did hi and then like went on from there. Um, Learn how you act, I guess. Know yourself. I've learned these over the years. So I did that, and oh my god, here we go, my brain, sick brain 101 right here. Another issue, or another reason to have the template, right? I was just sending the text and changing like the time of their appointment and like what they're coming in for, and just kind of making those tweaks and just keeping it really nice and simple. And if you want the template, I guess I could just look it up really quickly. It's not on this phone. I have a work phone. This is my personal phone, so it's not on there. Sorry. But if you want it, I'll text you. It's message you, whatever. It's really simple and just like, hey, I have you in today for whatever service. I'm not feeling well. Unfortunately, I need to reschedule your appointment. I have availability next week. Let me know if you would like any help rebooking. And sometimes we'll attach the links. Most of the time, I don't know why, but I'm just one of those people that like, I like to have the interaction of just helping them get rescheduled. I know this is kind of controversial. I know that some people are just like send the booking link and like make them do it and like get the first come, first serve. And like, I totally agree. I mean, first come, first serve, whoever texts you back is going to get the priority, obviously. And then of course, entirely like on their availability, right? Like everyone's different. I don't really feel like it gets to the point where like, oops, sorry, you can't get in or whatever. But that's kind of how I approach it. I just offer to help. Some don't even care. They're like, whatever, I'll book online, and they like immediately reschedule. And that's fine. But some just want me to move their appointment, and it's also just kind of nice for me to like sit there and drop them off and like watch the appointments leave the current day that I'm rescheduling, and then I know that I've spoken to everybody and everyone's, already been dealt with. That's just my way, but I think either way is completely fine as long as you're like giving them the heads up and then giving them the options and being sincere in it all. I don't think there's a right or wrong way to reach out to a client. We are human beings, and I'm a solopreneur, right? I'm the only one in my business. So unfortunately, I don't have the luxury of knowing ahead of time if I'm going to be sick, and I do try to push through because I'm the only one bringing in income for my business. I think there's some clients that I've had be like, well, why aren't you uphold the same 2-day notice that you require us to? And like, I get that and I totally understand where they're coming from, but like, I don't have that luxury, right? I want to still show up for work. I want to make a paycheck. I want to have money. I want my business to survive and thrive. I can't be held to that standard, unfortunately. Like, I'm trying to, and if I'm super sick and like on my deathbed, I'm gonna give as much notice as possible. But sometimes it doesn't happen like that. And I'm normally one of those people who has like a good enough immune system that, and I can usually kick a cold in like a couple days, maybe 3 days, and I can do like half days or whatever and survive because I've created a workload that's not overwhelming. Um, but other times it hits me, and like this cold is, I even told my husband, this is like one of the worst colds I've ever experienced. I had no idea. At first I was a cough and I still had energy. I thought I was gonna be fine and just kind of work through that and maybe linger with a cough. And the cough dropped off quicker than I thought, and then I immediately moved to my sinuses, and here we are. I sound like this, and I'm finally getting a little bit of energy today, but I return to work tomorrow and I'm going to see where my energy levels lie and then approach it from there. But again, like, if I wanted to be upheld, I would have to automatically reschedule all of Thursday. And in my brain, I feel like if I was a client, I'd rather wait and see, like, maybe you'll feel fine and be good than me reschedule you a whole day. And then I'm out of work, I feel fine, and then try to reach back out and get them back in. Like, it just gets complicated. Have I ever explained that to a client? No, because at that stage,
Hey, it's Emily here from Brow Fox Beauty. I'm so proud to be sponsoring this episode of Brow Education. If you are new here, let me tell you a little bit about Brow Fox Beauty. We are a professional brow line for the esthetician. We specialize in easy retail for the busy esthetician. We also have a line of better back bar basics so you can be super confident putting pre and post wax solution and massage oil onto your client's skin, giving them the best glow and the best brows yet. You can find more information at browfoxbeauty.com or on social media at browfoxbeauty.
what they're doing is they're usually arguing a cancellation policy, right? When they're like, well, you were only gave me 24 hours notice when you were sick. Why do I have to give you 48? Well, you're shit out of luck. These are my policies. This is my business. So this is, we ultimately decide, but I want to err on the side of bending over backward for my client in order to get their return money and their return business over time than argue or have a really bad interaction, have them never come back to me, talk shit about me, tell all of their friends or whatever. I don't want to leave that nasty taste in somebody's mouth, even if I don't know if they're lying or not. Now, if this is a repeat instance and you're like, oh my God, I'm sick of this, like everything is, in my opinion, every client is a case by case situation, because I've had people be rude to me and I've fired them because it was just like so outlandish that I was like, we're done here. We do not need to continue this relationship. Or I've had people flake and bail and be like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, like charge my card, whatever. I'm bend over backwards for them, for me, and like just being kind. And I'm like, I'll waive it, or it's fine. Like, whatever, you can still continue to come back to me. So I feel like even if the situation is similar, I still think there's some differences there. And I think I'll forever approach policies and situations by case situation, just because we have formed relationships, or I hopefully you have, with these clients. And it's a relationship. Some I give more to and some I don't, because it's a back and forth thing, and there's a trust there. Some clients I'm more harsh and strict to new clients because I don't know you and I don't know if you're lying to me or not. A client I've known for, 6, 7 years, I'm going to trust you. I'm going to know that you're real with me, and I'm probably going to waive that fee. But everything is different, and, every situation is different. There was some times where I'd give discounts if it was like a really big deal or something, or it was last minute. I've kind of stopped doing that because I mean, again, case by case situation, but I did stop doing that more recently just because I didn't necessarily feel like it was fair that I was already missing out on my income and then again missing out on more income when I'm just a human being. And I really aim to not be sick, and I really aim to show up even when I'm not feeling my absolute best. Of course, I won't go in if I think it's compromising my ability to work, of course, but like I don't feel like my cough. I had a cough, but I went in because I felt good enough to do my job. As long as I'm feeling good enough to do my job confidently, I'm going to show up. So I think everything is just being really honest and realistic with yourself on your ability and knowing that if you cannot produce quality work, then you shouldn't be there. And, if the client doesn't understand, that's one thing. And I think that one thing we need to remember is that if our clients are giving us flack or shit or whatever, maybe that's not your people and they don't need to stay with you. And I've always told myself that, like, I personally believe that it's worth losing out on a client who can't be understanding when you're sick than keeping a client that's like that. I want them to respect me as a human being. And I think that's a huge, huge, huge part of this style of industry. If I'm a big corporate business, then the higher expectations, of course, because there's more follow through with like, uh, you know, umpteenth amount of people that can come help. But I'm one person. So I have to have really, interpersonal relationships with these people, and there has to be a back and forth, and there has to be an equal amount of respect. That's my 2 cents on the situation. Some things I do is have those templates in place, and send them, and then kind of go through and try to give myself time. And then once those get rescheduled, I try to just be off socials, off online. You know, I'll make a post or something saying like I'm not going to be getting back, I'm not feeling well, blah blah blah. But I really try to completely check out of my business. I don't want to be working in any caliber because I want to be 100% resting. Dealing with the anxiety and the stress of it all is really hard and complicated. Like I said, these are people, and we want to retain our clients. Obviously, we want our business to be okay, but in order for our business to be okay and for you to have longevity, you have to be okay. So, just a reminder that as long as you're doing everything from good conscience and you're truly standing behind these decisions, then you're making the right choice for your business, and that's all you can do. Another thing I like to have on deck is referrals. If somebody has a situation where they really need to go see somebody, like a wedding or an event or something, and they're like, oh my God, I literally can't have you be sick right now, which I will say, this is not a life or death situation. This is not a doctor visit or something like that. Not getting your brows done is not the end of the world. Don't feel guilt, because I know that I have felt that in the past. But it's nice to have referrals on deck that you can send them somewhere else. I live in a pretty small town, so I don't have a ton of referrals, but I definitely have somebody that can like help get them in. Maybe not for everything, but for some things, and just always having a backup. I know that's a scary thing to do because you don't want to lose out on your client, but I think if you're really confident in your craft, like if I'm sending a referral, this is going to sound so conceited. If I'm sending a referral, I know that that client's still going to come back to me because I am really solid and confident in what I can produce results wise. Yes, I can send them elsewhere just because they have to get whatever they have to get done, but I know that whatever they get done will not be what they would normally be getting done with me. I don't feel like I have that same concern, but that's on you really just like having that confidence. And, maybe that's not for you. Maybe that's not an option for you, but it is nice to kind of show up for your client in that way of being like, I got you. Here's this. Here's another way of me supporting you. That's just something to think about. It's always nice to have referrals from your area, just like having that kind of ability to network with other professionals. I hope this made you, I don't know, see a perspective of being sick and help a little bit on like what to do and kind of how to navigate it. And maybe, just a little reminder for me or you or whatever that it's okay to be sick. We're only human, and the clients that you want in your life will understand that, and everything's going to be okay. You'll make the money back. I know the financial loss is hard, but it'll be okay. And, life will move on and we'll be okay and you'll get better. Okay, I'm going to do a really quick ingredient corner, and today I want to use a new book. This is not an ingredient dictionary, but it is The Science of Beauty by Dr. Michelle Wong, or Lab Muffin Beauty Science. I know a ton of people on my followers or whatever are aware of her, but if you're not, she's an incredible resource of knowledge. She's a chemist and doctor, and she's just a wealth of knowledge. And I love that she regularly will kind of go toe to toe with bullshit that's around the internet and, incorrect information that's being spread. And I really appreciate somebody doing the Lord's work in that way. She released this book and it really breaks down a ton of stuff, and I love hearing it from a different perspective, a chemist's perspective, who truly understands the science and ingredients of products that we're working with. And I love that she didn't just do skincare. She did makeup and she did hair and she did all kinds of stuff. So this is actually talking about how bleach and dyes work within the hair, and I find that so interesting. So I just wanted to read the passage about bleaching because I thought it would be interesting, and maybe I'll go, if you guys like this, maybe I'll go through and kind of read more. If you don't already have this, you should check it out. It's page 164 and 165 in the book. It's a really great a really great resource, and like I said, she's a wealth of knowledge. So bleaching removes color by breaking up melanin with hydrogen peroxide and sulfates. I just want to pause on that really quickly. I think that's interesting because we do see bleaching sometimes in laminations. We'll see it a little bit as we're breaking down those disulfide bonds because it's a similar area of the hair shaft where melanin exists. I think it's only natural that as we break down bonds, we're also kind of like, we're penetrating the hair shaft, and kind of as we're breaking things down, I think it's natural that melanin would also get kind of broken down within the hair structure. Again, this is why we have to be conscientious of repair when it comes to lamination, but also the hydrogen peroxide part of it, because hydrogen peroxide is used a lot in neutralizing the hair. So I think it's a really interesting portion that we see hair color change sometimes with lamination lines, and these are similar products that are used to bleach the brow hairs. I think when we're dealing with lamination, we shouldn't think that we're not dealing with coloring of the hair at all, because we are technically affecting that and using those products that would be used in a normal situation to dye or bleach the hair. That was very long-winded and I apologize. It is a high pH alkaline formula. Jesus Christ, I'm just like glitched there. A high pH alkaline formula loosens the cuticle so bleach can diffuse faster into the cortex and access the melanin. Both the bleach and alkali are very damaging to hair, and complete destruction of melanin leads to orange or yellow tones which can be covered with dye. I actually like how they said that. What they're saying is hydrogen peroxide is helping to penetrate. Yeah, this are the formula, the high pH alkaline formula breaks that up, loosens the cuticle, which is also what we have in lamination, where we're loosening and breaking up that cuticle because thioglycolic acid is very high on the alkalinity scale. And I also like that they mentioned that incomplete destruction of melanin leads to orange and yellow tones, which is what you see with laminations. We're not bleaching on the same caliber that bleach does, but we can semi-damage the melanin, which would lead to those orange and yellow hues that we do see with that chemical reaction. That kind of justifies it, or explains it, that even when we're not necessarily bleaching, we can still damage that melanin and create color change because it's not going to be as dark, right? And that's why we see lightning. And I don't feel like we see a ton of lightning, but I do think that we semi-damage the melanin a little bit, and that's why we see some lightning. You can kind of fill in the melanin with dye if you see that. I always mention to a client if they have any issues. Like, I had somebody come in and she was like, "Oh my god, I used Just for Men beard dye the other day," and I was like, "When?" I was like, "Because we're gonna dye your hair or we're gonna laminate you, and that could potentially pull out that color and leave you almost with bleached brows." And she was like, "Oh my god, what?" And I was like, thankfully it was long enough, we didn't have any issue, but I did see a slight color change because, again, we're breaking that down. So if it would have affected her, thankfully her brows are a little bit darker than her hair, so it didn't look any different. It was totally fine. But that's an instance where you would just follow up with tint. Thank you guys for being here. Again, I know this episode was a little bit different than I had planned, but I still think it was full of at least good reminders and something I will probably use next time I'm not feeling well. Thank you for dealing with my nasty, sick voice, and I appreciate that. And if you want to dive in a little bit deeper on another perspective of education, check out The Science of Beauty. See you next Thursday.